could stay like this, forever following you. Just don't get too far, and I'll be right where you are. You're a dream that I could finally see. I just want us to always be, to always be. Let's stay here, let's stay here in love. Let's stay here, let's stay here in love.
Good morning and welcome to SEN Stream. This morning we'll take a look at what's happening in week 2. We get an update on the student biographies. We take a look at a tweet of the week this time. We've got some continued professional development opportunities at the University of Roehampton. And we take a look at the chat if you guys have got any questions. Stay tuned to find out more, folks. Guys, good afternoon and welcome to episode 2 of SEN Stream. It's been a bit of a whirlwind getting everything together this morning. I've had a few meetings and things that were unexpected, so that's hence the hour delay. Usually we go live at 11. We're live at 12 today, but I can see already in the chat that we've got some people that have joined us this morning. So just as I go down the list, good morning to Philippa, to Fran, to Gillian, and to Miguel and Laura. And we've also got Stephanie tuning in just at the last minute there, watching on the train, potentially a SEN Stream first. Excellent. Great to have everyone with us in the chat today. Now, this, again, just to emphasize, SEN Stream is all about you guys, okay? So it's an opportunity for you to ask questions, to get clarity, or to seek more information. So please use the chat amongst yourselves if you need to. If you've got anything that you need to pass on to your peers, then please do so. But without further ado, I am going to crack straight on into the module updates for this week. So just let me get my slides up because I thought they were ready to go. And we will go from there. I hope everyone has been enjoying the first week of the semester. It's always a whirlwind. You know, you get piled on with loads of information. Some of you didn't know you had a student email. Some of you couldn't get on Blackboard. But I saw quite a few of you turn up to Nutrition and Performance, and then I saw a few more of you again on Research Methods for Health Sciences 1 with Teddy. You would have had Practitioner Skills yesterday afternoon with Sanjoy, and then you've got Concepts and Principles with Claire this afternoon. So it's really great to have everybody on board. I will definitely make it round everyone and make sure that I say hello to you all within the first few weeks. Now, let's get on with the module updates. If anyone has a question, it will pop up in the chat. For some reason, the stream is not picking up anyone's comments today, but please rest assured I can see them. I think it's just the way that I've set up the stream today. So let's have a look at what we've got going on next week. He says, and it won't transition. Here we go. Perfect. So, week 2. I've got week 1 up here because it is week 1 right now, but we're going to be looking ahead to week 2 as to what it is that we need to do. Now, Jane has provided me with lots of stuff here. I've actually forgotten to edit this, so this is the ad lib, what she sent to me on an email. It's just been a bit of a busy morning today, so we will crack straight onto it. So for the first part of next week's session, you're going to have a session on carbohydrate metabolism and examine that kind of central role that carbohydrate as a macronutrient will play in a variety of different settings within sport and exercise nutrition. Some could argue that carbohydrates are one of the key, if not the key, macronutrient for most sporting events. That's a statement. I'm biased because a lot of my research is based on carbohydrate metabolism and feeding, so maybe take that with a pinch of salt. But yes, you're going to be cracking off with sport and exercise, with nutrition and performance with carbohydrate feeding in the lecture. Now, you're going to get that followed up with a session with me in the laboratories where we're going to start utilizing some of the equipment in the labs to actually start to measure carbohydrate oxidation. So we're going to be doing a little bit of exercise on the cycloergometers, where we're going to be collecting some breath by breath analysis with the Douglas bags. I'm going to get you to analyze the Douglas bags, and we're going to actually start to see what impact that exercise intensity has on carbohydrate oxidation rates. So it's going to be a little bit manic, but it's okay. I've run the session quite a few times now. But what I would say is that on Blackboard, to either this afternoon or tomorrow, I'm going to be posting a range of different videos to get you guys bang up to speed with what a Douglas bag is, how you utilize them, and what to expect in that Tuesday session. So do have a look out for that material being posted on the Blackboard site this afternoon or tomorrow morning, and just make sure that you have a little rundown and have a look through what has been presented there. I've just a little flick over to the chat there. I can't show you the chat anymore unless I put it up here. I know you guys can see it, but it's always good for you to recognize that I can see it as well. So maybe if I just pop it up here. Here's the chat. Let's see what everybody's saying. So we've got Katie joining us again this morning as well, which is excellent and great to see. Also on the train. Are you guys on the same train? Where are you coming from? It'd be great to see if you guys are actually cruising in from the same place, but great to have everybody on board. If anybody has any questions with regards to nutrition performance, get your questions in now and I'll come back to the chat in due course. So those are the updates from Jane. Anything that I've missed there, I don't believe there is. Yes, Jane has encouraged you here. Sorry, just to sort of swayed in there to encourage you to really try and get involved with the post-session questions. Now, this is a bit of a theme across the university this year that we're trying to encourage students to ensure that they have opportunities to revisit material as many times as possible, because we know that that then improves your ability to recall information, to actually engage with it, to understand it, and actually identify areas where you might be a little bit weak. So do take the opportunity to try some of those questions after the session to make sure that you guys can sort of self-assure yourselves that you are actually picking up the material and that you've got any if there's any gaps in your knowledge, that you have identified where those may be. So message from me: if you're next week, we're going to be in the labs after the lecture session, so make sure you bring something that you'd be prepared to exercise in. So jeans is generally not a winner, and if you are, either come suitably dressed or bring a change of clothes with you. You can use the facilities to get changed whilst you are there. So do come prepared. Check out the Nutrition and Performance Blackboard site this afternoon and tomorrow, and make sure that you're familiar with the session content before you turn up. I'm going to move on to the next module, which I believe is Concepts from Memory. Yes, excellent. So to continue with the pre-module, pre-lecture quizzes. Now, with Concepts and Principles, Claire's very keen to ensure that you guys have had the opportunity to kind of just get a baseline assessment of your knowledge. So when I asked for the updates for SEN Stream for Concepts, that was on the 24th that Claire came back to me, and only 6 SEN students had actually had the opportunity to complete the pre-module quiz. If you haven't had a chance to do that, please, I encourage you to have the opportunity to do that. It will give Claire a little bit of insight as to what our particular cohort and what's the baseline knowledge of nutrition is there. And then secondly, it will give you some insight as to where you're at the moment. You've only just started the course, and that's fine. So there's no weighting to it. It's got no implication as to your mark on any assessment. It's just an opportunity for you to get some immediate feedback as to what your baseline nutrition knowledge is moving forward. And Claire will be a bit more specific about where, as a cohort, as everyone on the module, where are you guys at? How can you improve things moving forwards? And where there seems to be a generic knowledge gap in a particular area as well. She's given me the link here. I believe you guys have got access to this link as well. So if I click on this link, it will open up a browser, fingers crossed. Obviously, it's opened it up in the wrong window, so let's bring it up here. We've got your nutrition knowledge quiz. I can't read this information for where I'm sat because it's about 3 meters in front of my face, but there's some interesting things for you to read there, and we can see some questions, your email address, and then which of these water-soluble vitamins can be toxic if consumed in excess. You've got your option there, and you can make the selection. I'm obviously not going to give you the answer because that would be cheating. So, what sensory aspects of food influence our food choices? So there's a big range of different questions that you've got the opportunity to answer here. So do make sure you allocate some time to go through these questions, submit it. You get the answer straight away, I believe. And then Claire will have a good idea of where you guys are at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the chat box just to keep an eye on what is being said. So who have we got here? I'm just going to make it a bit bigger because I am not blind, but I can't read it from where I am. Hi. So wow, we have got a cohort of students join us today. I think I see 12 being viewing us right now, which is excellent. Guys, really great involvement. That's excellent. We've got Rebecca who's joined us. We've got Bruno, Adam who's come in as well. Now, I've got a few questions here. It's really great to see. So let me just try and catch up. Kirsty as well. Great to have you involved. Great to see everyone chatting. Right, I need to catch up, guys. My word. So I couldn't find the doc on the Blackboard to answer the questions. So just to be clear, so can we use the 3rd edition of Sports Nutrition by? Yes, that's absolutely fine, Bruno, but do check the libraries to see if there's any more further earlier updates. I'm not sure if there's a 4th edition available of that, so we'll have a look at that. Could you put the link in the chat, please, Mike? I could do, but it's going to be difficult for me to do that, so perhaps... in fact, I probably could be able to do that, so just bear with me while I try and get that. Let me just have a look at the rest. Laura said here, should be in your email, Steph, I think, which I suspect is, or on the announcement on Blackboard, correct. You can save the quiz once completed by printing as a PDF. Tips from the top there from Kirsty. Thanks very much for sharing that. Did you find Jane's questions? There's a link, Steph. Thanks, Laura. Holiday brain. I'm suddenly not very sympathetic, if I'm honest. But there, I'm kidding. I hope you had a lovely time. But yeah, so generally, what happens with the when staff suggest there's something for you to complete, you go onto the Blackboard site. There's usually a link there, so you'll either find it in the slides, but more typically, they will put it out as an announcement. Now, I know for a fact that when staff sent out an announcement, it's essentially the same as an email. But I do know that sometimes those links don't make it through to the email for whatever reason that is. So always visit the Blackboard site, look at the announcement section, which is usually the landing page on your Blackboard site, and then you can click the link from there, which takes you through from there. So there we are. Excellent. Right, I am going to head back over to the module update so that we can continue moving forward. So that's the concepts update. Let's have a look at what's actually happening in weeks. You've not even, this is the thing with Thursday at SEN Stream, is that you've not even had concepts week 1 yet, but we're already talking about week 2. So Claire is going to give you a fairly comprehensive rundown about your first assessment, which comes under concepts and principles of nutrition. And that is a CASP review of a given topic. Now, you're going to learn about some of the topics today that are on offer to you. And Claire is going to do a nice job of trying to signal to where the sport and exercise element is. Now, concepts and principle is a overarching nutrition module. So don't get too stressed out and bogged down by the fact that some of those are not obviously with a sports nutrition focus in mind. But I believe the sleep one and cardiovascular disease topics are probably the ones that you guys might want to have a look at. But nevertheless, like for example, we had a breastfeeding topic, we had neonatal nutrition last year as 2 topics, and a number of the sport and exercise nutrition guys chose those. You can choose whatever topic you like. I'm just trying to signpost to you guys to which ones are maybe the more relevant topics for you guys to get your teeth into. And she's going to have a good discussion about the CASPER assessment, so you guys have a good understanding of how it's going to go. Now, the CASP assessment is probably the first opportunity you guys are going to get to actually get your teeth into a subject and do a large piece of like discursive writing, if you like, which could be quite daunting for some of you. Don't get me wrong, but again, see it as an opportunity for you to get into a topic. Take on board the advice that you're getting from things like Research Methods for Health Sciences 1 and from concepts specifically, so that you can try and get a nice coherent argument together. And you'll be supported on concepts to do this, so don't stress out too much about the situation. But yeah, do treat it as that first opportunity for you to get a good piece of work under your belt, and also that opens up the opportunity for you to get some early feedback within the course so that you can develop and build on that as you move forward. So let me just bring the chat back open because you guys are super active in the chat today, which is excellent. Okay, yes, Jane's questions in the study materials on her module I can show you later. Thank you, Laura. That would be super helpful if you do touch bases with any of your colleagues and just let them know where it is. What I might take from it, I might have a quick look on nutrition performance just to see where these links are being posted, and maybe signpost to Jane that they could be in a slightly easier place. I don't know yet. I'll have to have a look myself before we go in. So you haven't even had concepts and principles yet, but those are the types of things to expect in today's session moving forward, and then things that you need to do and ensure that you're going to do for week 2 moving forwards. So do try and keep on top of that stuff as we move forward. So let's move it on. I think we have, Research Methods for Health Sciences 1 with Teddy. Now, if you're a part-time year 2 student, part-time year 1 student, feel free to just put your, check Instagram, see what's going on in the news at the moment, even though it's a bit of a horror show from what I can gather, if you follow any of the politics at the moment. But if you are taking Research Methods for Health Sciences 1, that is a full-time student or a part-time year 2 student, then listen up because this is important. So Teddy has encouraged you to familiarize yourself with the library and reading list. Now, Teddy has chosen to share the reading material slightly differently to most of your other modules, but I believe he's trying to get on top of getting a reading list together as soon as possible. There is some descriptive statistics that is probably going to be the first element of statistical analysis that you guys are going to touch on. So that would be looking at descriptive stats and central tendency. Now, there's some statistics books from the library which focus on SPSS. There's an entire 2 or 3 banks worth of statistical analysis textbooks within the library. So if you've not had a chance to go across there, there's a nice excuse to go and explore it and have a look. Teddy has also encouraged you to download SPSS onto your PC and Mac. You, as a University of Westminster student, should have access to do this. If you don't have access or you're struggling to achieve that, please let Teddy know as soon as possible so that he can provide you with additional instructions if that's required. Now, some preparatory reading is available on Blackboard ready ahead of week 2, so head across to the Blackboard site to check that out. And coursework 1 CASP, oh sorry, I've called the concepts, sorry, there's 2 assessments that you do. I've called the concepts 1 CASP, that's incorrect. The CASP 1 is on this one. Your concepts and principle 1 is just a literature review on the topic. Please accept my apologies. It's that I treat almost the 2 in the same way. The CASP related stuff is now available on the Blackboard site. If you went to that first session, Teddy will have made you well aware of what that means. So do have a look at the instructions, and if you need any clarity or any clarification, make sure that you ask in the sessions. But also, I believe Liza is doing a key session on this next week on the timetable as well. Do correct me if I'm wrong, though, on that front. I do my best to keep up with everything. So here we go. We've got some more chat. God, you guys are very... I was impressed with the level of engagement that we got last year, but this is taking my head off. Let's have a slight change of view because it gets a bit dull after a while. Okay, so we have, let me just get this big so I can see it properly. So we've got Fran. What's the main difference between nutritionist and a dietitian? Can a nutritionist prescribe a diet or only calorie intake and macronutrients distribution based on a client's objectives? A dietitian is a legally protected title, which entitles them to be called a dietitian. If you went away today and tried to call yourself a dietitian, you'd be arrested, essentially. It's the same sort of title as a lawyer or a doctor, as being obvious other ones. A dietitian can prescribe a diet in a clinical setting. If you have been diagnosed by a clinician, by a health professional with a particular condition, then it would be a dietitian that you would be working with because they are also considered as a health professional. Now, we do get dietitians on the course. I'd be interested to know if anyone who's watching today is qualified as a dietitian, and if they've got any experience in dwelling on that. I also know that some of you work as private nutritionists and nutritional consultants at the moment, and I'd be curious to know what people's experience are in sort of treading that line between providing nutritional advice to non-clinical populations and to those that have experience in dealing in clinical populations as well. So that's the differentiation, and Sanjoy does a nice job, and it's actually going to come up in his module updates in a second. That the regulatory bodies that we affiliate with, so that would be the Association of Nutrition and also the British Dietetic Association Sport and Exercise Nutrition Register, are the 2 bodies that accredit our MSc program. He's going to talk to you more about what frameworks that they offer to ensure that you have professional boundaries as an individual, to ensure that you're not deviating into areas that you're not qualified to undertake, and also that you wouldn't be legally allowed to undertake as well. So practitioner skills for sports nutrition is a real key module in order for you guys to sort of start navigating this world between clinical diagnosis and intervention versus dealing with healthy populations. Now, as a registered nutritionist, the AFN have a framework in which you can start to work with a clinical population. For example, if you had an individual who had a heart attack and was prescribed a physical activity intervention by going into the gym, working with a personal trainer who has been qualified to work with those who have had heart failure, for example, you may be drafted in as a registered nutritionist as long as you have the support of the practitioner, the health practitioner, that you are in a better position to be able to provide that individual with nutritional advice for weight management, for lowering cholesterol, for supporting a physically active lifestyle, then that is a framework that you can operate within. But again, that nuance is something that will be borne out as a result of discussing it with your tutors. I can see that the chat is coming up on the screen, so let me head across there now and see if I can get that up. Oh, I've pressed some buttons that ain't going to work. Here we go. Yeah, well, I think any questions that come in from this point on will come up. But nevertheless, I will crack on because I can still see the questions coming in. Hopefully, Fran, that provides a little bit of differentiation for you there, and we can keep, and that keeps it clear in your mind moving forwards. We've got, okay, Stephanie, statistics is scaring me the most. I feel like a fear of statistics at this stage in your MSc lives is a good response to have, because some of you will be coming from a zero statistics background, and that's absolutely fine. But just recognizing the fact that that is the situation you're in, please don't sort of feel scared by that, but do take it as a signal for you that this is a very real part of doing a Master of Science. You need to appreciate the statistical components that come along with understanding studies, interpreting their findings, and interpreting your own findings and doing your own analysis. So a little bit of healthy fear is what I would say is probably not such a bad thing, because it will help to motivate you, ensuring that you turn up to the sessions, you do the pre-readings, and you follow the examples as closely as possible within the class. For you guys, the most important thing is being able to understand what a research paper has done, to understand the techniques that have been undertaken and as to whether they're valid, reliable, appropriate for the types of model that's been presented, and then therefore make your own decision and your own informed decision about what the true outcome of that particular module, of that particular statistical assessment has done. Now, when you've got that in place, you can then start to critique the literature on a particular topic more effectively. So, for example, when we consider carbohydrate feeding during endurance activities, is 30 better than 60? Is 60 better than 90? What happens when we put multiple transportable carbohydrates into the mix? Now, when you look at a study that considers those things, have they used appropriate statistical analysis? And if they have, what does it actually mean to say that two ingestion rates are actually different from one another? Another example would be post-exercise protein consumption and its effects on muscle protein synthesis. When I looked through the biography responses, I've seen that quite a few of you are very keen to look at protein synthesis and post-exercise muscle protein synthesis, so it's relevant. But how do you know that 0 and 20 or 40 grams an hour are actually different from one another when we look at the acute responses to feeding post-exercise? So what technique would you use? And when it says it's statistically significant, well, what does that actually mean? And then it's another thing entirely to kind of consider whether that's a meaningful change in a given variable, such as muscle mass or fractional synthetic rate, whatever it may be. I might be terrifying you, but again, I'm just emphasizing the importance of how statistical techniques can be utilized within sport and exercise nutrition. Let me head back over here because your comments are actually coming up on here. Okay, Kirsty there, would you recommend any textbooks supporting statistics understanding? Teddy has his readings list. That would be my first port of call. I know that Claire, Dr. Claire Robertson, she's an epidemiologist. What that means is she is a statistical geek. So she's a really good resource to consider when we think about statistical analysis. I know she has almost like a statistical Bible that she refers to all the time. One of the takeaway things I'll take away from SenStream today is to contact Claire and just ask her what text she can recommend. But anything that focuses around SPSS, there's a survival guide for SPSS which breaks down all of the acute different types of assessments that you may undertake as a health scientist or as a nutritionist in acute sections with screenshots, screen grabs. Another really useful resource for understanding statistical techniques is actually YouTube. Where you have individuals who are walking through a one-way ANOVA with a data set that they have, or how to structure your data set within SPSS, or how to run some descriptive statistics on a single variable such as height or weight for a group of males or females or whoever it might be. So those are places I would definitely go to. And please share your resources with one another, because at the end of the day, yes, you've got the stuff there, but if you come across a resource which you think this has been really helpful, then make sure you share it with your peers. They'd be totally up for that, which is great. So I'm just seeing anything here. So Bruno, in Italy, both dietitian and nutrition are protected titles that you earn after a state exam, although the line is fine because you can't call yourself a consultant or else. Interesting. Thank you for contributing to that, Bruno. Nutritionist in the UK is not a protected title. However, the AFN has their voluntary register, which is what we all encourage you to sign up to, which basically, if you will only be placed on the voluntary register if you meet a minimum criteria, of which that gives your clients and anyone who is planning on employing you a degree of confidence that your nutrition understanding and your nutrition education is to a minimum standard set by a professional body. But again, Sanjoy is going to talk to you a lot about that. I'm also trying to get Glynis Jones from the AFN to come into your practitioner skills for sports nutritionist session. And again, we also have Andy Burnham, who is the chief executive of the British Dietetic Association, coming in to speak to you guys on practitioner skills as well, to talk about why SEN is relevant and how they operate within that kind of regulatory framework of professional bodies. So there we go. You're all saying, okay, think it would be a good idea to create a SEN Facebook group, you guys in. Perfect. Students last year had a WhatsApp group. It seemed to work pretty well for those guys. Obviously, that requires a central person, which I'm going to talk about again, as that could be the student rep, so just bear with me on that. But that's a great shout. I don't want to see it. It's healthy that you guys have a forum where you can discuss course matters without any of the staff seeing it. So make it, get involved, make sure you share your resources on there, and that would be excellent for everyone involved. So yeah, take it away and get involved. I'm going to go back over to the course updates, just so you guys are aware of what is happening on the course moving forward. So let me get that open now, and we'll head across. Perfect. Cool. So yes, don't be afraid of statistics, embrace them, use them as a tool for improving your understanding of the scientific literature, and also project forwards a little bit. All the techniques that you're going to be developing during the Research Methods 1 are all techniques which you are ultimately going to be applying to your research project come summertime next year. So from sort of Research Methods for Health Sciences 2, Semester 2 module is all set up for you to create your own research project. So do consider that you are banking really useful information and really useful techniques which are going to set you in really good stead for undertaking your research project, analyzing your own data, coming to your own conclusions based on a hypothesis that you've drawn on a particular question of interest. So do bear that in mind when you're thinking about the dark days of statistical techniques that you're learning, that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And also your supervisor, when you get that allocated to you, will definitely be a person to help get you up to speed. Right, practitioner skills for sports nutritionists. I've half mentioned this already, but I've not added this. How is this possible? Yeah, I've not added Sanjoy's updates, which is a bit silly actually. Bear with me because I have them here on my laptop, so let me just get them open. I thought I'd added these, but again, it's been a bit of a rough morning, so just bear with me while I get these open. Okay, Sanjoy, I know watches this after the fact, so I apologize for this, but in week 2, you're going to be looking at your assessment details in your assessment 1 details in more detail, which is excellent. You are also going to be discussing the role of SEN and AFN, which is something that I just touched on there, because we have these 2 accrediting bodies, and one may be more beneficial for the other when you think about when you come out the end of your MSc, what is it that you want to align to? Is it sport and exercise? Is it general nutrition? Is it a bit of both? And how can those 2 regulatory frameworks and those regulated professional bodies assist you in ensuring that there's credibility around your practice, whether that's applying for a job, whether that's running your own consultancy, however that might be. So how can you use that to your advantage? What frameworks do they offer you? And how can you navigate that as a sport and exercise nutrition student? I'm just getting the rest of the updates that he's got. The other focus that they've got is the professional development planning. So Sanjoy is going to talk to you about how you can look at where you're at right now and plan for the future. Because, for example, I saw someone had responded on the student biographies to the career question, which was, we'll wait and see, all to be revealed essentially. But we want to get you away from being passive in this process to be very, very active members and very active agents, if you like, in your own development, so that you're not passive to what might happen. In actual fact, you're making what it is that you want to happen. It's that you have a very large role and a very large say as to what direction you're going to be taking your career in. And we're going to make sure that we signpost to you how you can achieve that moving forward. So hopefully that session will be super helpful for all those involved moving forwards. The other thing that Sanjoy has pointed out in the email here that I forgot to copy over is quite simply that he was super impressed with the level of engagement that you got within the sessions. The practitioner skills sessions are very much holistic. They're very much based on your practical engagement within the session. He just wanted to let you know that he was really, really impressed with the amount of engagement that he got. So well done for doing that moving forward. So let me head back over to the chat. I think I'm going to have to do this. There we go. Let me make it big so everyone can see what's going on. Oh, I'm trying to print it here, which is no good. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, I'm trying to print. I don't want to do that at all. Yeah, I've just lost the chat. Bear with me, guys, while I get that back open. We're having a bit of a disaster. YouTube has recently changed the way that it does live streaming, and whilst that's all well and good and fantastic, it's not very helpful when you don't appreciate the differences. Right, let me head back over to the live stream. Sorry, guys, just bear with me 1 second while I get this open. Excellent, we're back on track. Okay, so what have we got here? Oh, a bit big. Go. Okay. We've got a few questions coming in. So either one sounds good. Thinking Facebook to share files, but I'm up for WhatsApp as well. Great to see you guys getting involved with each other. Half of your MSc sometimes is about who you meet and the different links that you've got with your colleagues as you leave the institution as well. So do bear that in mind, and it's great to see that you guys are going from there. Which of the packs did you download for IBM SPSS? Whatever the most up-to-date version is probably the one that you want to go with. We've got a question here with regards to Fran. I can answer that for you. You should have paid for 4. But again, the finance office, if you've got any outstanding queries with regards to that, is the people that you need to speak to. But typically as a part-time student, you will only pay for the modules that you enroll on any given year. Something that's been borne out with a part-time year 2 student recently. If there's any queries or concerns, I will try and help point you in the right direction. So do email me in the first instance if I can help with that. Okay, I'm going to move it on to the next section, which is just having a little look at the responses that we got in the biographies. Now, I'm going to try and avoid embarrassing anyone, but what I would like to just have a quick look at is some of the responses that we did get. So I feel that should have opened. Yeah, it's not. Why is it not? Nightmare. I think it's because I have this on. We're having a bit of a disaster today, but this is all the fun of live streaming, is that there is no hiding when it goes wrong. Okay. Let me get to this in a slightly different way. So it was I think we got 15 responses in total, which is fantastic engagement, guys, and thank you very much for doing that. It should help keep everyone engaged and involved, which is excellent. Now telling me that I cannot open the requested file, which is exceptionally unhelpful. So let's have a look at it from a slightly different way. Here we go. We're getting there, guys. Apologies. So let's have a look at the number of responses. 15, fantastic, of which I won't embarrass the people that have responded, but your names are there, which is great. Just as a quick update with regards to the photographs, it's completely optional, and I totally get if you don't want to put anything in. Once I've integrated this into the Who's Who's guide, I'm just going to delete all the pictures because there's rules and regulations around what you can and can't do with people's personal data, which includes your pictures of your own face. So once I've integrated into the Who's Who's guide, those files will all be deleted, just to give you guys a little bit of reassurance in that regard. So the first bit I want to have a quick look at is your nutritional interests. So let's just have a quick zoom in and see what types of responses we got. So let's put it above my head. We've got sports nutrition, nutrigenetics. We do a nice session in advanced performance nutrition in semester 2 with Emanuela Volpe, who is a reader in genetics over at Biomedical Sciences Group. She looks at the role of nutrigenomics and nutrigenetics in that acute session, so do keep an eye out for that. Functional medicine nutrition, that's an interesting term is what I would say, almost taking this nutraceutical approach to sports nutrition that is becoming more and more popular. This idea that different nutrients, macronutrients, micronutrients, whatever they would be, if you manipulate them and provide them in a different way, that it actually has a meaningful outcome on a particular issue that an individual may be having. So I find all aspects of nutrition interesting. What I'm particularly eager to learn is about the impact of different sports activities can have on daily nutrition requirements, as well as how to adjust your diet for optimal performance. I'm also interested in vegan, vegetarian diets with regards to an athlete. Excellent. It's good to know that there's some specific outcomes there and that you've got some really targeted things that you can really get yourself into, and maybe even form a project around those topics as well, which is really nice. We've got the effects of foods on different people. Find it interesting that while there's nutrition basics that apply to everyone, it also varies massively by person. So individual responses and this idea of personalized nutrition, which is a really nice topic and something that's growing day by day. What we try and do as sports nutritionists is take the literature and apply it to acute groups. So, you know, male endurance runners or female endurance cyclists or sprint females or masters females in swimming, and we try and generalize to the activity. But even then, within that individual cohort of that smaller subgroup of the population, there might be a subgroup of individuals that don't necessarily respond to your specific intervention. And why might that be? Why is it that those particular people are not responding in the way that you think? And how can we then try and learn through the different measures, instead of guessing why that might be? Could we use a specific variable and measure which would actually help to really reinforce and inform how exactly we might go forward with that individual moving it? One example of this could be macronutrient provision during endurance activity. The literature all suggests that we should be slamming people with carbohydrates up to even 90 or 120 grams an hour. In actual fact, some people who are undertaking endurance sports might actually benefit from a high-fat diet because their exercise intensity has dropped, and therefore their requirement for ATP turnover is actually reduced. And as such, can we actually meet those demands with fat oxidation, which we can store more of in the body? It's less limiting, and we have a less reliance on endogenous stores such as carbohydrates, which are going to get depleted pretty quickly. So there's an interesting thing. We've got performance optimization here. So this person wants to narrow it down: pre and postnatal nutrition. That's interesting. I'm hoping that there's an exercise focus in there as well, so maybe helping to support pre and postnatal ladies become healthy, stay physically active, and support them through nutrition. Enhancing protein synthesis, such as the difference that timing and the amount of protein ingestion can have to protein synthesis. Jane's going to touch on that in nutrition performance, and we have Dr. Lindsay McNaughton hopefully coming in advanced performance nutrition. She's a performance nutritionist with the Scottish Institute of Sport, and she has a real nice key paper which addresses this very question about dose post-exercise, and also the amount of lean mass that an individual has post-resistance exercise, and whether that influences fractional synthetic rate post-exercise. So do have a look out for that session moving forwards. We've got a lot of gut things coming up, which is obviously quite contemporary at the moment. So the impact that the gut microbiota has on sports nutrition and the influence of different macronutrients and micronutrients. So that's great to see. So there's some really nice comments there, guys. These will be attributed to your name and your profile once I get the guide together. But I just thought it'd be useful for you guys to see what responses have come in, what your peers are thinking, and how it's all going to go from there. Also included the hopes for the course. We're not going to have a little look to that, but what I did want to have a look at was career aims, so you guys all know what each other are kind of thinking. So we've got here working with athletes, and this again, this idea of genotyping and phenotyping. So I did a project with a couple of students last year, looking at the impact of a gene involved with caffeine metabolism. So the CYP1A2 gene encodes your P450 cytochrome C enzyme within the liver. That actually is the enzyme that actively breaks down caffeine and makes it available and has its neurological effect. But you have 3 different variants of this particular gene, in which either 2 of them make you a slow metabolizer and 1 of them makes you a fast metabolizer. So we tried to have a look at this and its impact on resistance exercise. So we managed to get about 19 or 20 participants in total. We gave them some caffeine or a placebo, and then we did some resistance exercise after the fact and looked at their resistance exercise performance. But we also genotyped them based on which gene that they had, so that we could then go, well, fast metabolizers seem to respond in this way, whereas slow metabolizers are appearing to respond in this way. But no spoilers, this is a public stream, and as such it's not published yet, so I'm not prepared to go any further into that conversation. But that's what we've done. So there is opportunities to kind of further that kind of work if there's anything specific there. We've got a little bit of research based focus and also have some personal clients. I know there is some of you with a very impressive personal client, personal business behind you, of which it's great to have you on the course. And we'd be great to see how you plan to incorporate the things that you're developing on the course into your own practice, which is great. The mixed sports nutrition with cooking, the psychological aspect of dieting. Again, practitioner skills is a great module for you to consider there, and concepts and principles considers the psychological aspect of your of eating as well, which is a key one. Behavior change is another key one as well. Remote location independent consultant with in-person exercise physiological testing through the mobile exercise physiologically testing equipment. So again, yeah, considering how you can physiologically assess someone and their nutritional needs when you don't really have much equipment, which is a key aspect. You know, the equipment that you guys are using in the lab is phenomenally expensive to buy and to maintain. So how can you be savvy about the assessments that you've got and which ones potentially, so for example, you know, some of you might not have a spare 20k knocking about to host a bod pod and buy one and do body composition assessment, but how good is skinfold assessment in comparison to that? Or can you get somebody else involved who does have a bod pod and get a preferential rate? And can you interpret the findings of that? Or if someone comes to you with a DEXA scan, can you interpret that? And how does that relate to the assessment that you've got in your particular practice? So those are all key questions, which is really nice to do. PhD, pursue a PhD after doing research. Some of our alumni do go on to do PhDs. We've got a student who, I think about 3 years ago now, looked at the impact of the marathon disables on ketone production and the influence of pack weights. She's now doing a PhD out in Australia, looking at that very topic, which is excellent. I'm planning to do part-time jobs, mostly about interns, but want to focus on getting experience after master when I open my own clinic. Fantastic. To inform nutrition policy for future generations using my skills as marketing or consultant for elite sports teams, such as hockey, Team GB, and Olympic squad as part of the team. These are that's really ambitious and really nice. I would say is as long as you have good links into those different sports, that's the first thing that you would need to get in place. I'd be realistic about expectations with regards to elite sport, and unless you have a very direct route into those sports, that's going to be quite challenging. And if you don't have those links, what a perfect time to start, is what I would say. So start developing those links as soon as possible, getting into grassroots clubs in the sports that you're interested in, providing free consultations and nutrition advice to sports clubs, and building a profile and a portfolio like that. Time will tell. We're going to improve. Whoever put this in, we're going to improve on this. We're going to get you very focused, and we're going to make sure that you have a very, very clear plan about what it is you're going to be doing at the end of your MSc. So do bear that in mind. Now, as we get back to the chat, let me get something open so we can see what is being said. Excellent. We've got, does anyone know Teddy's email? Is it com@westminster.ac like the others? It should be. If you go onto the university website and search for Teddy, his staff profile will come up and you will be able to see that. I would be happy to do that right now if you want me to. So let me head across to a browser. Here we go. Teddy, Siom, Westminster, here he is. Stick him in. Let's click on his staff profile. You can see here he is, senior lecturer, and you can see his email, his t.com t.com@westminster.ac.uk. In the course handbook, I make reference to the fact that there are 2 different emails for staff. I would focus your efforts on the at westminster.ac.uk, not the at my.westminster. A lot of staff don't check that email because we're not encouraged to do so. Whereas our formal email address is always at westminster.ac.uk. So do check that before you email a member of staff. Or if you have emailed a member of staff at their at my.westminster, consider emailing them again on the other one if you haven't had a response, because not all staff members will check that account. So just FYI on that front. So there's Teddy's email. Hopefully that clears up everything for you. There is also a list of staff email addresses on the Blackboard site on the course website. So if you're ever in doubt, check that first. It links you to the staff pages and all of their details are placed on there because I'm just making sure you guys have got access to contact staff. Katie Allen, has anyone else had with a Mac had trouble logging onto the Wi-Fi on campus? I'm going to switch view just so you guys just have something different to look at, because I appreciate it gets a bit dull. So with regards to any computer-based issues that you guys are facing, the university has a service called Service Desk. And when you go on your student hub, if you search for Service Desk, you will find that you can log a call or an IT request. That will raise a ticket, of which then a member of the Service Desk team will help resolve your issue, whether that's via email or agreeing to meet you in person. So Kate, if you are struggling getting onto the Wi-Fi, log a call with them, obviously when you've got an internet connection available, and then someone would be able to help address that problem with you. Your other option is to go direct to the library and see if anyone in the library can assist you in getting online. Obviously, being able to access Wi-Fi on campus is going to be super a key issue. One piece of advice, if you are trying to connect, try and connect via Eduroam. Eduroam, you'll be able to connect with your student ID, and that will get you straight on. Eduroam works at all the university campuses across the UK, so it should be fairly easy to get on that. Yeah, so Bruno's having the same problem by the looks of it. So guys, I'd encourage you to either get yourselves across to the library, or if there's any other students who've got Mac devices who've managed to come around. I don't have a Mac device, so I can't advise. And also, I'm a member of staff, so I have a staff computer, which I don't have these problems with. But when you've just started, do approach the library or log a Service Desk ticket, or see if there's any frequently asked questions on the Service Desk website that can try and get a little bit of clarity for you guys moving forward, because it's going to be important that you get access to the internet moving forwards on campus. Okay, I have some other updates. It's taken a bit longer than I thought it was going to do today, but that's okay, because you guys have been asking lots of questions, which is what SEN Stream is all about. Okay, so I'm going to compile the student biographies as of, again, either tomorrow afternoon or start of next week. I'm quite busy with a few bits and bobs going on at the moment, but I will try and prioritize this so you guys get it next week. If you haven't submitted, there's only 2 potential students I think who haven't submitted. I suspect it is 2 of you from the part-time year 2, because you would have done this last year, which I will happily copy over your responses with that in mind. Okay, let's move it on. We have a CPD opportunity. I think it might be tweet of the week first, actually, before we move on. Yes. Okay, so sport and exercise nutrition as a general academic topic or subject, there is a large community of people who contribute to the conversation on Twitter. I have a professional Twitter account, and I would strongly encourage you guys to also invest some time into creating your own Twitter account. Now, it can't be, Muscleman92 from when you created it back when you were youthful and full of vigor, if you like. Try and create a professional looking Twitter account, which is going to be your platform for discussing topics from a professional standpoint. If that's created a new Twitter account, I'd recommend doing that. And then you can consider the content and the focus and the topic that you're going to talk about on your professional account, because let's be honest, we would be naive to believe that we're not background checked in some way when we go to apply for jobs or whatever it's going to be. So you've got to give yourself the best opportunity to give yourself that forward-facing public image. And then second of all, because there is such a large community on there, it's a good opportunity for you to feel very close to the research community and to the community of sports nutrition as well, because you get to follow some of the big hitters within sport exercise science, within sport exercise nutrition as a whole, and therefore you can contribute to that conversation. So we're going to do this series of tweet of the weeks. And now there's one here from Dr. J, I think it's Prof actually now, Prof James Morton from Liverpool John Moores University. He is also the lead nutritionist for Team Sky, or Team Ineos as they are now called, and has been for a few years now. He works directly with that team, who are obviously top of their game with regards to sports nutrition. But James has retweeted a new paper that's come out here at the Journal of Physiology. Journal of Physiology, in terms of things that sports nutrition related topics could go in, is way at the top. So if you're looking for quality research projects that are research papers that have been done in a given area, and it's been put in the Journal of Physiology, Journal of Applied Physiology, Experimental Physiology, they're all excellent journals, of which Journal of Physiology is international in its focus and has a very large impact factor. An impact factor simply indicates that the reach of that work is going to be far greater than one of a lower impact factor. So if you've ever heard those terms used, that's kind of what it's referring to. So do take the opportunity to have a look up James Morton, see what he's got to say for himself. And you can see here, if we click on this this particular link, it will take us through. Let me just move my view so you guys can see this. You can see here the focus of the paper is post-exercise carbohydrate and energy availability induce independent effects on skeletal muscle cell signaling and bone turnover, implications for training adaptation, by at James E. Morton and at Kelly Hammond. Kelly came to do a talk for us on some of her work looking at manipulating macronutrient availability, particularly fat availability post-exercise. We've got Liverpool John Moores Institution there and their research handle and their nutrition handle, with EIS because Kelly Hammond works for the EIS, and also then a link to the paper here. If I click on the paper, it'll take us across to the Journal of Physiology, of which you can then have a good old read. Again, you're reading for your MSc, so it's probably best that you start now in reading for those things. You can have a little look through the paper, see what these guys did, and start to get involved with the topic in hand. So that is my tweet of the week from James Morton this time. Do take a look. Hopefully I've inspired you to have a forward-facing public account on Twitter. You will find out lots of information on Twitter as long as you start following the right community on there. Okay, let me head back over to my slides because we've got a continued professional development opportunity coming up. So an alumni of our program now, or soon to be alumni, Vicky Newbold, passed on this link from the University of Roehampton, of which they are hosting a nutrition and exercise interactions event. So nutrition and exercise interactions, what do we know? And if I click on this link here, it will take me across to an Eventbrite page. Now, this event is taking place at the University of Roehampton, which is literally just up the road from us. It's on the third Friday, which is a good day because it means it doesn't have any influence on your teaching days. Friday the 13th of December. And good news, there's a £20 entry fee, but I emailed the organizer of the event, and essentially I'm going to collect a list of people, you guys, who want to go to this event. I'll provide them with your name and you will get a free ticket. So win for being part of the Sport and Exercise Nutrition degree here at Westminster, because we're going to be able to get you to go to this conference for free. Now, I only found this out this morning that that's the case. So what I'm going to do is create a Google form for you to submit that you're interested in going to the event, so that then essentially you're giving me permission for me to share your name with the University of Roehampton, of which they will then hopefully send you a ticket, an e-ticket, to ensure that you guys can attend this event for free. I'm also going to try and encourage Jane Sanjoy to come as well, and I'm going to head to the event as well, so that we can have a good, it's almost away day if you like, at this nice conference. And the speakers are impressive, if I'm honest. So we've got Dr. Nick Bird here, Associate Professor from Department of Kinesiology and Community of Health in Illinois. We've got Javier Gonzalez, who is a Associate Professor from the University of Bath. He's an excellent person to follow on Twitter, by the way, if you have a look for him. His focus is on breakfast, the impact that different macronutrient compositions of breakfast has on metabolic status throughout the day, and the longer term implications that has. He works closely with Dr. James Betts, who is the editor of the International Journal for Sports Nutrition and Exercise Metabolism, another excellent person to follow. So a great name to have. We've got Dr. Lewis James, Senior Lecturer in Nutrition from Loughborough University. We've also got Stephen Bailey from Lecturer in Sport and Exercise Nutrition from the Loughborough University. And we've also got Andrew Hallwerder, I can't pronounce that, but that's from Maastricht. That's funny. Maastricht University. A huge department in sport and exercise nutrition there, led by Luc van Loon, another excellent person to follow on Twitter there as well, and look at the research for. And not sure, I'm going to be getting in touch with some of our alumni to see if they want to put anything in and advertising the event to them as well. But please look out for my form. I'm going to make it a bit of a day. Save yourself 20 quid just by attending and putting your name on that list if you want to come along. And we can get everyone and a good showing of force at this particular event. It should be a nice little day out. So keep an eye out for that. and don't say I don't do you any favors, is what I would say on that front. Now, I think we are finally down to the chat. So let me open the chat in the background so everyone can see what is going on. Okay, if there is any burning questions that people have, then please post them now. We are coming up to the hour mark, which means that we've had a long stream today, and I've been talking continuously for 1 hour as well, so bear that in mind. But if there are any outstanding questions, now is your time to ask. So whilst I'm waiting for some questions to come in, let me just head across and just finalize and start to sum up the stream today. So some exciting sessions taking place next week. You've got concepts and principles this afternoon with Claire. Get yourselves involved with that particular session. And again, this is a real nice module for just getting you all on the right page with regards to population nutrition, how that influences the individual, and how we can characterize the baseline of what we're expecting from most people in terms of nutrition moving forwards. Please do your readings ahead of the sessions of next week. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in nutrition and performance on the Tuesday afternoon, where we're going to looking at substrate utilization with different intensities of exercise. So check out the links that are going to get posted on the Blackboard site. There'll be a few videos for you to watch, and a little bit of pre-practical information for you to look at, so the practical pro forma and stuff. Get yourselves on Twitter, create yourself a professional profile, follow me, follow Sanjoy, follow Jane, then start to look at who we follow. Then you can start to build a bit of a picture of the sports nutrition community, of which you'll start to again get customized updates on your Twitter feeds, and then start contributing to that conversation about what you're learning in class, and engaging and asking questions of some of the people that are posting on there as well. All excellent advice moving forward. Keep an eye out for the form with regards to this small conference, which is at the University of Roehampton. If you filled your details in and you're keen to attend on that 13th of December, which is a Friday, then I will be able to get you free entry to that event, which will be excellent. We've got a question coming in, so let me head over that. Well, I can just read it out. So, do you have any more information on the Cardiff internship? When would it start, and how often would we need to be available? I know the deadline is tomorrow, right? Correct. Another student has been in touch with me specifically with regards to this internship. Now, I don't work for Sports Wales, just to be absolutely clear about that. But essentially, the information that I've placed on Blackboard gives you information about how you can apply for this. So you need to provide them with a statement of interest. Now, I don't know the intensity of what this internship is going to present, and that might be something that you would ask if you were offered an interview, or if you had a contact email that you could get in touch with someone from. So ask before you invest the time into getting involved with that. But do consider that if you did get offered that opportunity, that yes, there is going to be a time component to that. They're going to be expecting you to turn up to events at the weekend and potentially in the evening and things like that. But they are going to cover your travel expenses to do that. So it is something to consider. I think they will also respect the fact that you are doing an MSc alongside your position. And I'm trying to think of any MSc programs that are centre registered that are anywhere near Cardiff, is what I would say. And there's not many, is what I would highlight on that front. So anyone who did get that intern opportunity is going to have to travel, and therefore they're going to appreciate and respect that. So I do believe the submission for this is tomorrow. I will have a little look on the Blackboard page after this, just to make sure that you guys have got all of the materials that you need in order to make an application. I'm very keen for you guys to put an application in, because we need to compete with the other institutions that offer us an MSc in sport and exercise nutrition, and that means getting our candidates out there in front of the people that matter. You guys put good applications in, that looks good on us, so I'm very keen for you guys to get that. And if you get offered the position, you're getting some hands-on real-world experience with some of the best performers in the UK. So it's win-win for everyone, is what I would say. So I will in fact, let's have a little look now, because I'm not doing anything else as it stands. Let's have a look what is on Blackboard and just see if there's anything that I have missed off. Here we go. Let me get it up on the screen. Get the page up now. Just taking its time. Unfortunately, streaming is very computer intensive. I'm asking it to do a lot of things at the same time. Let me just get across to the course Blackboard site and I will have a look. We'll go for the full-time site. Just to be clear, there is a full-time and a part-time module course Blackboard site, but they are identical. Anytime I post on one, it gets copied over onto the other one as well. So if I go down to employability, I believe, we've got the Sports Whale opportunity here. I believe this is a YouTube video, yep, and then we've got the actual form here. Sports nutrition intern, key experience may include. Please send your CV and covering letter outlining why you are interested in the above position to Performance Nutrition at Sports World by Monday, the 27th of September. That's a curious date because that should be, yeah, that's definitely a Friday. So I suspect if we look at the 2018 poster, last year would have been a Monday. So there he is. That's what you need to do. If you want more information, I think you might be a bit late to the call in that regard. If you could try emailing performance.nutrition@sports.wales and getting that, but I would very much expect you to have completed your CV and covering letter outlining why. But there's a lot of information there to get your teeth into. Here's the duration as well. So October 18th to August 2020, essentially the same date of your program. Obviously, if you get offered the position, let us know, because then we can try and support you from our end. So at least we then know what you're doing. We can try and support you as well. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Laura. I'm not sure, but the information is there. Put an application in, because why not? If you find that the internship is too intensive for you, at least you've found that out. Rather than just not applying and not finding out any further information and not giving yourself that opportunity, basically. So hopefully that answers your question. And I know there was a couple, well, there was at least one other person. Yeah, I've just picked that up, Bruno. Monday the 27th doesn't exist. It's likely going to be Friday the 27th. I'd go with Friday, tomorrow. So get your application in a day ahead if you've not already done so already, or make sure it's in by tomorrow, is what I would say. So hopefully that helps everyone. If there's any burning questions that folk have, then please make sure that you get it submitted now. Yes, let me head back over to this. So guys, an exciting second episode. I think everyone's now up to speed, which is why we've got everyone tuning in, which is fantastic. But as I've not had a flurry of final questions, and Laura's just said thank you there. Great to see that you've got that, and that's helpful. Great. I will likely call it a day on the stream there, if that's okay, guys. But again, we will be live again next Thursday. I'm going to try and go for 11 o'clock, unless I get a lot of feedback saying that 12 o'clock works really well for everyone. Do let me know what you think. I'll leave a comment in the chat or send me an email. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click like, because that always helps to know that you've enjoyed the stream. It looks good when I try and promote SENstream as a platform across the university as well, which is something that I'm trying to do. So if you've enjoyed it, please do click like on the video. Other than that, I am going to say goodbye. Look forward to the session in Concepts this afternoon, and I will see you all on Tuesday afternoon next week for the Nutrition and Performance practical session. Thank you very much for listening. Take it easy. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. Cheers. I'm desperately trying to end the stream, and none of my keyboard shortcuts are working. Let's try that again. Thanks very much, guys. Take it easy.